Do you know that over 70% of people are unsatisfied with their 9-to-5 jobs? So if you're feeling unsatisfied, unfulfilled, and dread going to work every day, then this video is for you. I'm going to share my own personal story of quitting my job and 5 signs that it might be time for you to quit your job as well. Hey, my name's Kellen, an ex-law enforcement officer turned personal finance expert and online business owner. My wife and I have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, USA Today, sharing our story on quitting our jobs and scaling our online business, The Savvy Couple. On our channel, we share tons of ways to make money online, quit your 9-to-5 job, and create that life of freedom that you've always wanted. Number 1 is a lack of passion and motivation, and I rank these from importance. So if you get to number 5 and you're feeling number 5, it definitely means it's time for you to quit your job. So obviously when you start your job, you have a lot of passion and excitement for it, and over time that might have dwindled. And if you are feeling like you're dreading going into work every day, or you feel just super unmotivated and unengaged at the workplace, that's definitely a sign that you have kind of drifted away from that job. One thing I want you to remember is a job is just like any relationship. It's a two-way street. So a lot of times there's a disconnect between either the workplace not giving you enough as far as pay or recognition or advancement, or it's the opposite where you have just fallen out of love with that job and you're ready for something else. So you're kind of just half-assing it. That's going to really cause a break in those two relationships. Your work's going to get upset with you and vice versa. You're going to get upset with your work. And then that's when you really start to lose that passion and excitement. So from my own personal experience, I had over 5 different jobs after leaving college. I worked for UPS. I was an insurance salesman. I got into law enforcement. I did a bunch of different jobs, and every single one of them I was super excited for, super passionate about, motivated to get started with, thought it was going to be a long-term career path. And eventually I just got to that point where I was just not motivated and not passionate about that work anymore. So I really want you to make sure that you understand that everything in life comes with a vision, and you need to have that vision and that clear understanding of what core values you have. What do you value in your life? What do you value in your work? And having those clearly laid out so that you can make sure that you are getting jobs and career paths that follow those core values that you have and the vision that you have for you and your family, future family. So that's super, super important. And that's one of the main things that I suggest you do with this kind of activity to figure out if you have lost motivation or your passion, is sit down by yourself for 10 minutes and just write down kind of your core values, your core family values if you have a family, and then your vision for what you want your life to look like. What do you want to be doing when you're at work? What do you want to be doing when you get home? What does your ideal lifestyle look like? And in order to do that, you need to really sit in peace and in quiet and do that. But it's so, so powerful to get that vision so that you can kind of align that with your future jobs. All right, the second sign is going to be a toxic work environment. We all know how important it is to have a good work environment at your work and your job. And when it's not that way, how much it can drain your mental and physical health. It's super important to kind of identify whether it's a toxic environment or not. And for me, it was pretty simple. I felt just absolutely drained and dreaded going to work every single day because I knew how much of a toxic environment it was and how negative it was, being surrounded by inmates all day, by myself, isolated in the unit, and trying to keep order. All right, the third sign is the lack of growth or opportunity in your current position. So this is definitely something that anyone wants to be growing and moving forward and having more opportunities. So if you're at a job that doesn't have that, that's gonna drain you out because you're going to work for what? You're going to build someone else's business and grow their money where you have no opportunity to scale, make more money, make more impact. So without that growth and opportunity, you're going to feel like you're stuck. In law enforcement, you're kind of ranked on how many years you have in the service, and that's kind of your seniority. As soon as you move up to the next rank, your seniority goes back to 0, which means you are last to pick your vacation, you are last to pick your shift, you are last to have holidays off. Like, you're just low man on the totem pole again, which was the worst part for me. So that was something where, I was working as a jail deputy and I was like, well, I really can't move up any further. There's no more opportunity for me. That really caused me to kind of take a step back and say, do I really want to do this the rest of my life? The answer is absolutely not. So that's definitely something you want to look out for. If you feel like you're like hitting a plateau in your career or in your job, you definitely want to make sure that there's other ways. Maybe you can move to a different department where you can learn a new skill and grow your income that way within the business, provide more value to them. But if there's no opportunity at all, if you're not happy, there's definitely other options out there, and it might be time to move on. So what you really want to do is go back to those core values and that vision that you set up for your life and make sure that that is in alignment with the current job or role or career path that you have. For me, I'm wearing a shirt that says freedom. This is my number 1 value in life. I want to have freedom of my money and freedom of my time to spend it how I want. A lot of people try to go after financial freedom and go after the money part of things. I would suggest and I would say from someone that's already reached financial freedom at a very young age, at 30 years old. The freedom of the time is by far the most important thing for your happiness, because then you can pick and choose what you want to do. So definitely make sure that your job, your career line up with your vision and your core values. So I want to know, have you ever felt like you were completely stuck or lost at a job and there's no way for you to get out? Let me know what that felt like in the comments. And if you're finding value in this video, can you please hit the thumbs up? It really helps the channel out. I want to make sure this video reaches anyone that actually needs it, and consider subscribing. Thanks. The fourth sign is going to be misalignment with the core values. Again, it's going back to the core values and the vision of your life. So for me, I definitely realized that the working in law enforcement in general, I was going to go to road patrol. I got offered to go to road patrol. That was my dream. I chose to turn that down because I saw the writing on the wall. My vision and my core values were family and freedom. So I knew we didn't have any kids at the time. I knew that I wanted a family and that my wife and I were going to have kids. And that if I worked in law enforcement, our relationship was always going to be super strained, which is the most important relationship other than the relationship with God, to have a good quality family and be the best parents we can be for our future kids. And, law enforcement is a very, very difficult career path. And I give so much props to anyone that does law enforcement or any, difficult career path. And another one was just freedom of time. So there was so many times at the jail that there was forced overtime because there was a lack of deputies there to work. They were just short all the time. They would call us at the end of the shift and be like, hey, we need you to stay another 4 hours after you just got done working an 8-hour brutal shift. And I just remember that tore me up inside to not have that control over my time. So if you're in marketing and sales and you are pushing products and services that you don't truly believe in, or your upper management is teaching tactics of like taking advantage of people over the phone or whatever it may be, that you have to listen to that in your heart. You know what's right and wrong based on your heart, your core values, and what you believe in. So if the company is going against that, that's always going to irk you the wrong way. That's always going to put that divide in that relationship and that trust. So make sure you listen to that. I want that to be the message you take away from this video, is you have options. You are not tied to one single job. You can always find another job to replace what you currently are having that's causing you so much stress and anxiety and depression. So one thing to do when you are either getting hired at a new job or you quit and you're looking for a new job is make sure that your vision and core values align with theirs. They should be totally upfront with you, what their vision is, what their core values are. Anyone that we hire in our business, we have a PDF that we hand them that says, hey, this is what we are all about. This is what we do. Here's our core values. You need to align with these or we are not going to hire you. Plain and simple. We want you to be on the team. We want you to align with our vision. We want you to align with our core values. And that's what a good company does. So if your company did not do that in the beginning and now you've seen, that they don't line up, might be time to move on. And last but not least, number 5, the most important, if you are feeling like your mental and physical health are deteriorating because of your job, that is a sign that you need to listen to. You need to go get help. You need to talk to someone. You need to leave the job and you need to move on. If your job is seriously causing you to have depression, anxiety, lack of motivation, anger, whatever it may be, from my own experience, again, I was working as a jail deputy and I fell into this crazy deep depression that I've never experienced in my life, thinking that I was completely stuck. We were buried in financial debt. My wife was still going to school to become a teacher and get her master's degree. I had all the weight of the world on my shoulders, providing for our family. We just bought a house and I felt completely trapped. I felt stuck. I felt like a loss of identity because I knew that law enforcement wasn't what I wanted to do. And it was really, really difficult. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through. So how do you tell if your physical and mental health are being deteriorated by your job and not just your personal life where it's stressed out with finances or your marriage? For me, it was pretty simple. I would dread Sunday night. I would dread that night and feel sick to my stomach and feel anxious and feel worried and feel depressed that I had to go back into work that day. So I think a really good test to do for yourself is to look at what makes happiness, and that's health, wealth, and relationships. So I knew that my health was deteriorating and I was gaining weight, and my mental, happiness was definitely draining and it was not doing well. My relationships were great. I had great relationship with my wife, my family, my friends, and then the finances were definitely another stressor, but that was mostly due to the fact that I was the sole breadwinner. We were trying to pay off debt. I couldn't leave the job. I was kind of stuck to it with the golden handcuff. So I knew I could pinpoint that it was the job. So it's really important to pinpoint that it is the job and not other aspects of life, because sometimes they commingle. So I definitely want to stress the importance of taking care of yourself mentally and physically and spiritually and emotionally. Your health is so important. Health is wealth. We say it all the time. I know what it feels like to be isolated, depressed, broken, confused, lost, anxious, frustrated with a job that you have. And I want you to know that there is a better future. I want you to know that there always is more options. You are not stuck to a job, especially if it's making you miserable and sucking the soul out of you and causing that negative energy to move into your personal life and other aspects of your life. There are other options, and I want you to know that. So now that you know the 5 signs that it's time to quit your job, I want to share my next video where I get super transparent, super emotional, sharing how I quit my job with 0 backup plan and where it's led us to today. It's basically my testimony and my story on how we have created this life of freedom that I want for you with pure happiness. Health is wealth. Go watch that video now. We'll see you over there. See ya. Thanks for watching.